Hey, welcome back to Leveraging Operations in Leadership. I'm your host, Tanya D. Harrison, and today we are getting into something I see all of the time with founders that I work with. You build your business because you are great at something. I mean, like really, really good. And for a while, being good was enough. But then the business started to grow. More clients, more decisions, more moving pieces. And suddenly, being the best at your craft is not enough and not keeping up with what the business needs. You're not failing, you're not behind. You have just hit the wall that every solopreneur hits at some point. And most people never get told what it actually means. Today, we're going to talk about that gap between being great at what you do and actually running a business, because those are two very different things. And knowing the difference is what changes everything. So let's get into it. The truth is, most of you did not start your business by going to business school. You started it because you were great at something or you went to school for something else, whether that's being a therapist, communications, whatever it was. But you are really good at something. And that is what you started your business to do. And it grew from there. So while how you started can be a beautiful story, it could also be a trap. What happens is the business ends up being built around your capability and not around a structure that can hold more than you. And that's usually how it began. And that's what makes it become a trap, right? So when your expertise becomes the ceiling of the business instead of the foundation of it, you end up working more than ever. The business is technically growing, but it feels heavier, not lighter. And that is your sign to do things differently. It's not a you problem. It's not a setup problem. The skill that got you there is just not the same skill that would take you to the next level. Now it's time to start building or acquiring new skills, right? So there are two jobs that every solopreneur end up doing in their business. One of them is what you're good at. That's the thing that you're doing in your business. The other one is actually running the business. Most people only get paid for one of them, but the other one is happening whether you manage it or not. The skills required to run a business. I mean, everything from decision-making systems, documented processes, the ability to hand things off and delegate effectively, financial clarity, understanding the numbers, and the capacity to think ahead and not just react. Those are all skills that many courses don't teach. So you may not have learned this, but the good thing about it is it's a gap that can be filled. There are skills that you can develop. And while this is a gap, it's a gap that can be filled. I went to business school, and many of the businesses that we learned about were large businesses. They weren't ones that were like how many of us start as a solopreneur by ourselves. I had to take what I had learned in the business world and in business school about these large organizations, and I had to learn how to adapt them with where I was in business. So it's learnable. Running a business is a learnable skill. It's not a personality trait, something that you either have or you don't have. It is a skill that you can build the same way you build the skill that started the business. And while learning business, understanding business, while these are skills that you could develop, the first thing you want to do is a mindset shift. You need to think about, how do I go from executor, where I am the one that is doing everything, to architect or designer. I am the one that is structuring how things should be. I am the one that is leading how things could be. Even if you are still providing services, even if you are still executing, it requires that you are now in this blended role where, yes, I'm the coach, but then I'm also someone that is leading and running the business. While I may not be doing all of the different things in the business, because at some point you go from doing everything. I am the coach, we'll use that as an example. I am the coach, so I'm providing the services, but I'm also doing all of the other stuff. I'm doing the marketing, the proposals, I'm doing all of the other stuff. And then what happens is that now you're being forced to think about things in a blended way. I'm still going to be providing the services, but there are some other things that I don't necessarily have to do. And from that perspective, I am going to be the architect, designer, leader of all of these other things. So there's an identity piece that has to happen underneath all of this, and it doesn't get talked about nearly enough. If your worth is tied to being the one who does all of the work, stepping back from doing this is going to feel like a loss, and it's going to feel a little risky. And sometimes that shift from being the executor to the leader or the designer is not about doing less. It's about leading more. It's about designing the system, setting the standard, making the decisions that make everything else possible. And what holds many solopreneurs back from making the shift is fear that things won't be done right without them. Like, I've heard it. I'd rather just do it myself. That way I know it's going to be done right, or I can do it faster, or my clients expect everything to be done by me. Or sometimes there is a guilt about delegating, which I experienced that. Like, it was like this guilt, like you almost feel like you're dumping, but when you delegate effectively and do it the right way, then it's a win-win for both. Or not knowing what to hand off first, and a deep belief that rest is earned and not built. Like, I didn't earn rest. I didn't earn the opportunity to step back. And the day you realize you are more valuable to your business as the leader and the architect is the day that a couple of things are going to happen. Your business will start to grow more efficiently. You're not going to be as stressed and overwhelmed. And then you're also going to be giving other people an opportunity, whether that means delegating to people that you already have, or being at a place where you can hire other people into the business. Now, the shift doesn't happen overnight, but it does happen in layers. You do a little bit at a time. You start by, you document one thing, then you document another thing, or you hand off one decision, then you hand off another. It's not a single moment in time where you flip a switch and everything happens. It's something that you have to be intentional about, and you do it, like I said, one step at a time. Now, let's talk about what this looked like. So how do I go from being, I am the one who does all of the executing, to now I am the one who does the executing and the leading and designing? Well, like I said before, it's about small intentional moves that shift how the business operates over time. The first thing, because there has to be homework, we know this. So step one, make a list, everything that you do. Once you make the list of all of the things that you're doing, next to it, you're going to indicate, is this something that only you can do? Not, I'm doing it now, right? But it's something that only I can do because of the skill set that I have. Only I can provide this in my business. The other thing you're going to identify is this something that can be automated? And you may want to lean on AI to see if it's something that you can automate if you're not sure. Also, is this something that I can delegate to somebody else? If I don't have to do it myself, like showing up in your business as the coach, right now, that's something that only you can do. However, there may be other things that's on your list, like onboarding a client. Elements of that may be able to be automated. So you're going to make sure you put automated. There may be parts of that process that you want somebody to do, like a human touch, a human check-in. That's something, if you are currently doing it, that you could delegate. So list out all of the things that you're doing, put them into 3 buckets: things that only you can do, things that you can automate or use AI with, and things that you can delegate to somebody else. All right, that is step number 1. Listing everything out, putting them into categories. Step number 2 is that you're going to start documenting one process. How many? 1. We're not trying to overwhelm ourselves. 1 process, not all of them. It could be the one that you do most often, or the one that causes the most chaos. Like every time you do it, you forget it and you're doing something different. Or if you have somebody that you're working with, a virtual assistant, it could be one that you want that person to work on, and you're going to document that. But only 1. However you decide, we're only going to do 1. And then the third thing you're going to do is look at your decisions. Which ones are you making every single day that somebody else could make with the right information? That is the beginning of delegation. That is how you're going to start delegating. Even if it's only you in your business right now today, we are not thinking about only today. That's one of the things that changes when we start thinking from a business perspective. We're thinking about forward thinking. It's not this reactive mode where I'm just reacting to the space that I am in. It's about being more intentional and thinking about tomorrow and next week and next month, how things are going to be. And the fourth thing I want you to do is to take the assessment, the leadership shift assessment. This is an assessment that I built, and it's going to show you exactly where the gaps are between where you are operating and where the business needs to be. And then you'll get steps as to different things that you could do based on where you are. All right, so those are the 4 steps that I want you to take this week. Okay, or I say within the next week, because it depends on when you're listening to the podcast. So step 1 is that you're going to make a list of all the things you're doing, identify the things that only you can do, the things that can be automated, and the things that somebody else could do. Step 2 is that you're going to start documenting just one process. Step 3, you're going to look at your decisions and which ones you are making every day that someone else could make with the right information. And this is going to be the beginning of delegation, where you're going to start thinking about, here are things that I can delegate. And then the 4th step is to go ahead and take the leadership shift assessment. That is it for this episode. The gap that we talked about today is one of the most common things I see in founders that I work with. They are extremely talented, gifted, high performers, and genuinely are great at what they do, but the business has outgrown the setup, and nobody handed them a roadmap for what comes next. And this is something that is extremely important for how you move to the next stage within your business. If today's episode hit close to home, I want you to take the steps that are listed above. And step 4 was to head over to signalpartners.com and take the assessment, or you can click the link and go to the assessment. It's going to be in the show notes. It just takes a few minutes, and based on how you answer the questions, it is going to show you exactly where your operational foundation stands and give you some things to focus on. No guessing, no overwhelm, just clarity on your next move. If this episode resonated, share it with another founder who needs to hear it. Also, leave a review if you are listening on Apple Podcasts. It helps more people to find the show and find their way to the shift. I will talk to you in the next episode next week. In the meantime, keep building.